Emma Frame here, and welcome to Voices of Yoga podcast, co-hosted with Lindsay Porter, where we bring you inspiring yoga stories and insights from yogis and teachers from around the world. These stories highlight the benefits of yoga and encourage those who maybe haven't started yoga yet to get started, and for the more experienced to delve deeper. We hope you enjoy. This is video podcast number 4 and podcast number 104.
Namaste, I'm Lindsay Porter and welcome to today's Voices of Yoga podcast. I'm delighted today to be speaking with Swami Saradananda, and Swamiji would be familiar to many of you for all of the things that she's done through her life so far. She's done some wonderful books covering many topics such as chakras, meditation, mudras, and so much more. She's an international meditation teacher, author and yoga mentor. She's worked for 26 years with the International Shivananda Yoga Vedanta Centers. She's run yoga centers in New York, London, New Delhi and the Himalayas. And she now travels as a freelance yoga tutor, in addition to writing books, writing articles for Elephant Journal and Watkins Publishing. Swamiji, it's a delight to be with you today. Namaste.
Namaste. I'm happy to be here.
And Swamiji's just returned from a visit to India very recently, and we like to start most of our sessions, Swamiji, just asking our guests to talk a little bit about how yoga found them in their life and what it has brought them.
Well, I think like most people, I was just looking for some physical exercise, and I saw an ad in the newspaper for a yoga class, and I really didn't have any idea because this was, I think I started practicing yoga in '67. So it wasn't very popular at that time, but I thought I'd try it. And then after doing the physical exercise, I met my teacher, Swami Devananda, and just started getting more and more into the philosophy and meditation aspect of it. No, it just happened. Yeah.
It was meant to be. And we hear a lot of debate these days, don't we? Of course, aided by the prolific use of social media, about how yoga is changing and evolving in modern times. Yoga in general, what do you see that's changed and is evolving?
Well, of course, it's much more popular. And, you know, when I first started practicing yoga, when I first went to India, we were actually taken from village to village to demonstrate asanas because no one had ever seen them in India. You know, it was an esoteric practice that some people did, but most people had never seen. Whereas now, of course, you know, it's very common in India and in the West. So you don't say to people anymore, do you do yoga? You just say, oh, what kind of yoga do you do? So it just seems like everyone's doing yoga. And of course, in the West, it's become more and more physically oriented.
This is true. And I mean, you've written so widely on a range of topics. And I know one of my favorites, and I use it all the time, is your Mudras for Modern Life. And I know a lot of other yogis absolutely love that book. I just wondered, do you have a favorite topic yourself of all the things you write and know about, or does it just change in the moment or depending on the season or something else?
Well, I think I like philosophy the best. You know, I like to study the philosophy. And I think a lot of people don't realize that Hatha Yoga, people think it's just, you know, the easy yoga you do if you don't want to do Ashtanga Yoga in the health club. But actually, Hatha Yoga has its own philosophy. And, you know, dealing with seeing the body as like the microcosm of the body as, you know, reflection of the microcosm of the universe. So I think that's what I like the best is, you know, studying and also making people aware of that philosophy. Because there are many philosophical texts associated with Hatha Yoga.
There are, and I guess it can be a bit of a maze for some people and students coming into yoga. Do you have a personal favorite that you go to or to explore?
Well, the most popular book on Hatha Yoga, of course, is the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But there's also another book called the Garanda Samhita which I teach a 10-day course in Germany every year on it. And it gives a lot more practices than the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So I think I use that a lot more. That's actually the basis of several of my books, like the cleansing book. You know, Hatha Yoga Pradipika has 6 different kinds of kriyas, whereas Garanda Samhita has 23.
Fabulous. And you have a charity that you support, and you've just been out to India. It's the Ganga Prem Hospice based in Rishikesh. Can you tell us a bit more about how this connection came about and what it does?
Yeah. Well, I was living in a place called Uttakashi, which is up in the Himalayas, and I was friendly with a woman named Nanima. And she's a woman, well, she's British, she's from Epsom originally, but she's been living in India for 50 years now. I think she went there and she just never left. And, you know, many people consider her like a very saintly person. And, you know, she's a great inspiration to many people who know her. And she was quite sick and she met the doctor, and together they got this idea to start a hospice, which is a new concept for India. You see, like we think hospice is a normal thing, whereas I think in India there are very few hospices. And even when we tried to get planning permission, they kept saying to us, oh, you can't build a hospital there. And we kept saying, no, we don't want to build a hospital, we want to build a hospice. And we try and explain it. But of course, people hear what they expect to hear. And they kept saying, no, you can't build a hospital. So finally, we changed the planning permission. We said, we want to build an ashram for people who are dying of cancer. And then we got the permission right away. So I think it's a much needed concept. A hospice is very much needed in India because now things are changing very quickly. You know, just like in the West, things are changing. But in India, the family is breaking up. So traditionally, people used to just live with their family, die at home. Whereas now, you know, a lot of people, more and more people are living alone. And when they get sick, people don't know what it is. I think the biggest problem, of course, is educating people. You know, there's still leprosy in India. People think maybe, you know, this person who has cancer, maybe they have leprosy. Or maybe it's AIDS, you know, everyone's heard of AIDS. So both of those are contagious. So often people are just put out of their homes and they literally die on the street in a lot of pain. So Nanima and Dr. Dewan, they're the 2 people that started the hospice, had this idea as a place, a spiritual place where people could come and die in a positive environment. So that's how we started the hospice. Gosh. And in the UK, mainly we do fundraising. You know, of course, every pound we raise in the UK is worth so much more in India.
That's true. And what valuable work, and be able to offer people at end of life that opportunity to have that spirituality and be in that environment. Wow. Right. And do you see it being used, you know, well used, having just been out there again?
Oh, yes, because it's only been open for about 2 years now. It took us about 10 years to raise the money, buy the land, build it. And now it's been open for about 2 years. And at first, no one was coming because they didn't understand what it was. Whereas now, when I was there, it was totally full. Like every bed was filled. So it's actually been designed so that it could be built in modules. So it seems that now we've got to start working on the second module because the first one is completely full.
That's great.
Plus, we run a visiting nurse service.
You run what, sorry?
So we have a visiting nurse service. So it goes to people's homes. They train the families how to take care of people. Plus, we have a free clinic every month. So it's doing quite a lot of good work.
Yeah.
And one of our main patrons is Krishna Das, you know, the bhajan singer.
Yeah.
So usually he does a charity concert for us every year in Rishikesh in December, but this year he was sick. So he's doing it in March. So if any of your listeners are in India in March, they could go to Rishikesh to a Krishna Das concert.
That's super. Thank you for sharing that. And if people would like to support the hospice and donate, is there like a website or somewhere that they can go to do that?
Yes, well, it's just called Ganga Prem Hospice, like one word, .org.
Great. Thank you. Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure our listeners will be really enchanted to hear about that and support the work you're doing. And what else? I know so many things, but is there anything you particularly like to share with our listeners about yoga or your personal yoga journey?
Yeah, I think it's to be aware that yoga isn't just a physical exercise. It's really a lifestyle. So people who think they can just do a few exercises and then go out and drink and smoke and eat as much meat as they like, maybe, and they're not practicing any philosophical changes in their life. Maybe they're not really even doing yoga. I think it really involves a lifestyle change. And I think that's quite important. And it involves really taking responsibility for your own life. Whereas nowadays, more and more people tend to see themselves as victims of a system. Whereas the yoga lifestyle is really taking responsibility for yourself.
That's a beautiful way of putting it, and it's something I'm actually very interested in because I'm in like my mid-40s now, and I totally feel like my yoga is growing and expanding in more philosophical lifestyle ways. But I'm thinking, is that more of an age thing? Like when I was in my 20s, I was more interested in the more purely physical asana, and I did still then drink. And things suddenly I look back now, I think, God, it's really changed. I don't drink alcohol. I've been vegetarian for 25 years, but it's like, could I have done that back then? What could I do differently? I don't know. Do you think it is just age and experience, or it can change?
Well, I think it is, a lot of it is age and experience, but I think it's also the desire for change. And I think maybe the way you did it was quite good, because a lot of people, they try and do things, everything at once. Whereas I think it's good to do a gradual change, but a change that lasts. You see, like if you tried to become a vegetarian and stop smoking at the same time, it would be quite difficult. Whereas if you stop smoking, and then as you stop smoking and your palate clears, your body becomes healthier, you might probably want to become a vegetarian or go in that direction.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
lovely,
that's
and
the
sort of gives
better
us all
way.
permission, isn't it, to go on that journey? And then we like
Mm.
to fix things quickly. And it's the same for your lovely book, Mudras of Modern Life, which I use all the time. And the first time I looked at it, I just literally wanted to absorb it all, suck it all in, and be able to do these amazing mudras. And then I realized that needs to be a journey. So what I do now, I dip in and out, and I pick one out so I get to really know one and practice it, and then maybe try something else. And it's that same kind of idea, isn't it? Letting it grow, plant the seed, and then give it a chance to grow.
Right. Yeah, well, all of my books are designed so that people can dip in and, get one bit and put it into practice. Because I think practice is the most important thing. I mean, you can talk about mudras or, talk about yoga, but, it's like knowing the name of a medicine but never taking it. You've got to actually do it.
Very true. Very true. And like you always say in your book, and you talk about mudras, how it's a subtle process that you'll notice it over time. And again, yeah, totally. It's one of those things that you do have to work with and be open to it, aware of it.
Uh-huh. Right.
Lovely. So, if people would like to just sort of look a bit more about what you're doing and all the things you have available, where can they go to find out more about you, Swamiji?
Well, I have a website, and it's called Yoga Mentor, one word, .yoga. I think just to see your life as a reflection of your actions. Yeah, so even now, well, I guess it's that Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world. Isn't that Gandhi?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So rather than think things should change, really the thing you can change is yourself. I think that's the most important.
Lovely, thank you. And what's coming up for you in 2020 and beyond? Have you got any plans set out at the moment?
Well, I teach courses for yoga teachers who want to do additional trainings, and I'm negotiating with my publisher to do another book.
Yay.
So it would be a book not exactly on meditation, but how to prepare for meditation. Because I've noticed that a lot of people who want to meditate or think they want to meditate don't actually do it because it's too uncomfortable. You know, they just can't sit still for long enough. So the book, my working title was Prepare to Meditate. So it involves asana so that you can sit comfortably. It involves pranayama so that you can make the body and mind and breath ready for meditation. Lifestyle changes, diet, and also yamas and niyamas. So that when you sit for meditation, it's a possibility. Because if something is not comfortable, you don't have that, it's not something you think you want to do. You think, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And then, of course, tomorrow never comes.
Wow, yes, very relevant and very valid. I think it's a super idea. Even experienced meditation practitioners, I think, could probably still learn from that, get some new ideas, perhaps reinvigorate their practices.
Right. Yeah. I teach a course for yoga teachers who want to teach meditation. So I think a lot of that will be going into the book. But even a lot of yoga teachers, they think they want to meditate. It's sort of the next step, but they don't really do it. And if you just sit quietly for 5 minutes a day, that's not really meditation. I think it takes at least 10 minutes for you to actually settle down into a place. So anyway, I think it's an important book for yoga teachers as well as other people.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people will be excited and ready to have that. Well, it's been lovely chatting to you today. I really appreciate you taking the time, just back from India and lots of things going on. So thank you very much for being with us today, Swamiji Saradananda. Namaste.
Namaste. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks for tuning in to Voices of Yoga, and we hope you feel inspired. You can find more of our free podcasts at www.voicesofyoga.com, and we are on all the main podcast platforms too. We are very open to comments and suggestions, so if you'd like to also leave us a review on iTunes, that would be fantastic. If you would like to know when the most recent podcast is going to be broadcast, you can sign up to our newsletter on the website and we will drop you an email with that recent update. Voices of Yoga is our passion project, and if you like what we're doing and you would like to support us, it would be very much appreciated. And you can do that through a very small donation on our website on the donation button if you feel so inclined. If you would like to collaborate with us in terms of sponsorship, advertising, or even suggest coming on and being a guest, then please drop us an email at voicesofyoga@mail.com. So thanks again, and we look forward to bringing you another inspiring yoga story next week. Namaste.